This is Shanei Born and CJ from the Believe in Yourself, Believe in Your Business network. We are coming to you live from all over the world, and we welcome you to the Spanglish World Network on Singo TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Singo TV app on their respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. And while you download, make sure that you rate and leave a comment. The app is free, and Singo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire Sticks, and Roku Sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 forward. It is such a pleasure to have you guys with us today. And today we have a very special guest from South Africa. We welcome Ben. Ben, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Shanei. Thank you for having me.
It's awesome. Ben, what we usually like to discuss in these shows is how did you believe in yourself as an entrepreneur in order to believe in your business? And where did you start in your business or in your entrepreneurial journey? I know that from our conversations that you've had quite a lot of businesses. Like, how did you start your entrepreneurial journey to get where you are today?
It really started at school already. It's a decision I made when I was about 12 years old. My dad was busy with repairing an alternator on a car engine. So he called me and he said to me, come and have a look at what I'm doing and how I repair it. And being 12 years old, I wanted to go outside and play cricket with my friends. So he had to call me 3-4 times. So eventually he got very irritated and he said to me, come sit here with me and see what I do so that one day you know what to do and how to repair your car. And I said to him, why? He said to me, well, you have to know it so that you can repair your car one day when it breaks down. And I said to him, I'll just take it to a garage. And he says to me, yeah, we'll see if you've got money. And I said, okay, yes, we'll see. So that, my dad died when I was a matric, 18 years old. And I just turned 18. And but ever since, although he's not here, I said to myself, I will have money. I decided early in my life, even, I went to army, which we still had at that stage, came back, and then take a job as a traffic officer. And I never took leave for 5 years. I didn't take a day's leave in 5 years. Because even in that time, I knew that one day, if I want to start my own business, if I've got all this leave, I can go for 6 months and try my business, see if it works, and still get paid every month. And then even as a traffic officer, I did a lot of things to create extra income. I sold car windscreens to people that sold motor vehicles. I sold car speakers, car amplifiers that I got on consignment from people that import, and things like that. And I made much more money part-time. I remember one night I advertised in South Africa. We've got a newspaper called the Junk Mail. And that was still a new newspaper at that stage. And I started, and cell phones only started in South Africa at that stage. It was still new. I was the only traffic officer with a cell phone. Everyone thought it was very expensive at that stage. And I advertised in there, and every night, well, during the day, people will phone me, do you still have that speaker? Do you still have that amplifier? Things like that. And I told them, yes, I've got it. And then I'll tell them, okay, come 5 o'clock. I know 5 o'clock I'll be at home. I didn't even have time to undress. I still have my traffic clothes on, my uniform. And then every 15 minutes to half an hour, the next car will stop and buy stuff from me. And I remember one night about 10 o'clock when the last car went. And remember, that was like, 25 years ago at least. I remember I took, your traffic uniform's got a lot of pockets. On your legs and all over you've got pockets. So I took all the money out of my pockets as I pressed it in from every new customer that bought stuff from me. And I remember putting it on the table and I counted it and it was 12,700 Rand. Now, 25 years ago, that was good. My salary, when I started, it was 900 and something Rand. And when I eventually in 1995 resigned, it was about 1,700 Rand gross. So 12,000 Rand for one night's not bad. I never worked a day overtime in my life because I asked them how much do I get if I work a Sunday, double time, overtime, and they said to me 90 rand, but then the tax takes 40. I said, okay, so I've got 50 rand for a whole day's work. So that didn't make sense to me. I'd rather sell a speaker and make 400 rand, 500 rand on one speaker. So yeah, that's really where it started. I made a decision. I grew up quite poor, but I said to myself, that's not my fault. But if I'm gonna die poor, that'll be my fault. And yeah, through the years, obviously, you've got ups and downs. As I'm saying, I started with pretty much nothing. My dad died when I was matric. I didn't have money to go and to university and things like that. So I pretty much started at the bottom. Always made the best with what I've got. And yeah, over the years, had different businesses. Every business, basically that I started worked until I sold it, got tired of it, or whatever. The only business that I did very well with, but in the end, I was in real estate as well. And we made it within a couple of years, within basically 3 years, we were at the top. Here in South Africa, we call it the East Rand. It's a certain area. It's a very dense area. And out of 400 plus estate agencies, we were number one. And that's figures from the bank. So it's not someone that just liked my face. So the bank once a year go and they can exactly see on the data on the computer, who gave them the most work. So we got 2007. We were the agency that got the most that sold the most units and also the highest granted bond value out of 400 plus estate agencies, and we were really the underdog. I had two branches. These, on the East Rand, there's 8 different areas. And these estate agencies, the bigger guys, the national and international franchises, they've got like 36, 40 agents per area, and there's 8 areas. I had 2 areas, one with 16 agents and one with 8. And we can talk half an hour just of all the stuff that I achieved as estate agent, a principal estate agent. We did very well. Then there was a recession, and I think it was worldwide. The banks of Africa just really their lending criteria just immediately got very, very strict, and we sat with packets full of offer to purchases, and the bank just declined them all. So I went on for about a year like that, and eventually I couldn't go on anymore. So that was the only business that was out of my control that in the end failed. I felt like a failure. So it took me a couple of years to just recover a bit. And I always knew, I said to myself, you know what, if I have to die and I haven't made it in business, I'll feel like a failure. And I've read in a book about a lady, she had Alzheimer's disease, and she was singing during the day, and she was singing opera and the nicest voice. She always wanted to become a singer, but they never allowed her. Her husband belittled her when she sang. So she never pursued a dream. And when she had Alzheimer's, she sang and she believed she was an opera singer. And I said to myself, you know what? I don't want to die with my music inside of me. That was my biggest fear, to die a poor man, because that was not what I was set out to be. And all my businesses, I started with nothing. I started in the solar industry, and not very long ago, about 3 years ago. We are currently in the top 5 in South Africa. We are the fastest growing solar business in South Africa. I've just taken over another big warehouse next to mine because we're growing out of our socks. And we are really doing very, very well. Shanei obviously helped me a lot. She's doing my marketing for me, a part of my marketing to a great extent. So yeah, we are doing very well. I started with nothing. I remember I had about my 3rd customer got a loan from a company, and this company obviously have to approve you as an installer. So they were happy with everything of mine, but they said to me, you don't belong to the Energy Association or to anyone. We just want to see that you at least belong to one of these guys. So I said to him, give me a list of people I can belong to. So they gave me a list. And the cheapest person, I looked at the cheapest guy, or the cheapest place where I can actually become a member. And the membership was 500 Rand, which is nothing. But I didn't have 500 Rand. So I phoned my brother, my older brother, and I said to him, listen, if you borrow me 500 Rand today, I'll give you 1,000 Rand back tomorrow. And he did. And the next day I gave him 1,000 Rand back, because the minute I had that membership, all the other stuff was obviously already in place. And they released the money and we could install. And that's really how I started with nothing. Today, if I think back, I remember the one client, I had to deliver his stuff in 3 portions because he didn't trust me to give me all the money. So he just trusts me with a certain portion. And every time I have to bring him some stuff and then he give me more money. Today, I'm carrying millions of rands in stock. And it's not very far. It's not very, it's not 10 years later. So, and this is not to brag. I'm actually proud of myself because that's what I set out to be. Yes, one must definitely believe in yourself and just believe in things that you're doing. And I don't know how long time I've got, but I can quickly tell you 1 or 2 things where just the belief and things that I said happened. When I started my real estate company, again, without any money, without any knowledge in the industry, I got a 70 square meter office, which is not very big, without any money. Well, not without the money. It was so cheap at that stage. I did a deal where I got a small portion of money, very small, and so I got that, and that was about all I had. And then I saw an office around the corner, a double office, 140 square meters. But this office was so nicely laid out, and it was just everything. And I said to the landlord, I said, "Wow, this is very nice." And the price wasn't that expensive, but I didn't have money. So I said to him, I really like it, but I'll only be ready in about 6 months' time. I'm just starting, and I'm starting without money. I said to him, but in 6 months' time, I'll be ready to take this office. At this stage, I don't have money. So the guy laughed at me because those offices were less than half price per square meter because it belonged to the church, and the church didn't really know what their property was worth.
Wow.
So he said to me, at this stage, okay, that was 2003, 2000, and the price then was 3,600 Rand for 140 square meters, which is very cheap. So the guy said to me, you know what, Ben, for this amount of money, this place is not going to last 6 hours. He says, there's 2 guys in my office already. I'm sure you saw them. I said, yes, I did. He says, they waiting. Once you've seen it now, they will come and have a look. He says, and even just the 15 minutes we spent there, he had about 6, 7 phone calls. And he says, we can see my phone is ringing off the hook. He says, this place won't be available by the end of the week. I said to him, look, it's one of those things. I said to him, if this place is meant to be, and it was meant to be mine, I will be moving in 6 months' time. So I walked out, went to my office. I took my diary, and I paid 6 months to the date. 6 months later, and I put in there, move into next office, move into new offices. So things went on. One day I turned the page over and I said, today we're moving into our new offices. So I went out to walk around. I said, here they are waiting for me. Open, no one in. So I went, I said, listen, you remember me? Yeah, you shop number 17. I said, yes, and what else? And you like the other shop? I said, yes. Remember I said to you in 6 months' time I'll move in? He says, yes. I said, well, here I am. What is the procedure? Can I just pay the balance of the deposit in? And I've done a lot of things ever since. My very first warehouse I got wasn't very big, but I looked at my pocket when I got the warehouse and it was sufficient for my needs. Within 2 to 3 months, we outgrew it. So I looked at the next size, which is fine for me. The day when we had to sign the lease, the lady said to me, this is just after lockdown. And she says to me, you know what? We've got a tenant for 18 years. Very good tenant, but they can't afford a big warehouse anymore. So I've decided to give them this medium one. But the good news is you can have the large one. I said, thank you very much. That means also with a large price tag. She said, yes. I said, okay. And I said to myself, look, I just have to grow into it. And I took it, and it was too big for me. And I took it, and just over a year later, I took the big one, which is just as big next to it also, and we're just going on and on and on. So yeah, you have, as Shanei said, you have to believe in yourself. I believe in my ability. And you know what? Okay, so what do you know about business? I can just add, I've read in my life more than 2,000 books, mainly about business. There's no book you can, well, I won't say no book, very little books that you can mention that I don't have. From Robert Kiyosaki, Richard Branson, Donald Trump, up to the local guys like Raymond Ackerman from Pick and Pay. And I've got all their books, not one. So I always said, if I want to build a fish pond, then if I don't know how to do it, it's a good thing to buy a book, How to Build a Fish Pond, and learn to do it and then just do it. So I thought, if I can get into these guys' brains and learn how they think, because rich people think differently. And there's a few things that I believe in. We've got all subconscious minds. There's a few things I believe in. I will never phone a guy with on a WhatsApp call, because I'm telling my subconscious mind I don't have money to phone, so now I'm phoning on a cheap WhatsApp call, and I don't want to tell my subconscious mind that, so I won't do that. There's certain things I don't do because I will tell myself, you're a poor person, that's why you're doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it's not wrong for other people, that was wrong for me. I said to myself, no, although I don't have a lot of money maybe at that stage, I'm rich in my mind, and I know that I will be there once again. And so there's a lot of things that in principle I don't do. So and even sometimes, like, I've got a youngster that started to work for me, and the one day he had those denim pants on with that looks like it's torn. Now, I mean, that's obviously the in thing to do. And I said to him, you know what? Don't wear that. I said to him, because you're telling yourself, I'm too poor for new pants. And I know you buy them new like that, but it's the principle behind it. So I believe a lot of things is how we see it and what we believe about ourselves. So to me, it's very important to keep my mind focused on what I want to do. I saw myself as successful even at some stages where I didn't look successful. I saw myself, and I knew I had the ability, and I knew I would make it again. And then I thought about Robert Kiyosaki, that lost a business, and he spoke to his rich dad at this stage, which was actually his friend's dad. And his friend's dad said to him, you've lost one business now. Most millionaires lose three businesses before they make it. So you've lost one, you've got two to go. Now, luckily, I'm on my third one, so I think that's it now. As long as you learn the lessons along the way, otherwise you'll keep on doing the same mistakes. So yeah,
So
I hope I haven't taken the whole program over.
no,
Yeah.
no, we love your story. Thank you so much for sharing it. I want to ask you, like, when you lost when you closed down your real estate business, you said that you took a while to open up your solar company. What went through your mind? I know that when a huge company like that fails, we often feel like failures. But how did you pick yourself back up again, and how did you start again?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, um, although 50,000 out of 66,000 agents fell out, and I've got newspapers, clips and stuff saying that, and I knew at the estate agency affairs board there were 66,000 agents registered before that. There were still 16,000 that made it, and it's mostly the big guys. The big boats don't feel the waves that badly. But why were I one of those that failed, although the majority failed? Um, and I can tell you why. Um, Even I was aware of how bad things went outside, and how the recession affect everyone. But I remember at one stage, an attorney came to me and he said to me, "Are you guys also so quiet?" And I said to him, "Shh, my guys thinks it's a property boom. Don't say anything." And we sold a lot. So I went to a meeting. I just bought a RNS. Don't want to say franchise. RNS overseas. It's called MLS, a similar company where different agencies join together to share stock. So I joined, and at the meeting, the guys was all very down. And guys that I had respect for, that was years in the business, they said, guys, things is going bad. If you've got two secretaries, fire one. You know, reception people, if you've got two, fire one, have one and cut their salary and cut down on everything else. And I thought, gee, I just employed a third one, a third admin lady or reception lady, and we booming, but this guys all talk about how bad it is. And they, I actually thought, what if it is that bad? What if I'm the only guy that don't know that it's bad? You know what I'm saying? And when I left there, I've lost it. Yeah, I've lost the fight in my head. The minute I start believing that things is bad, it starts turning bad for me. Before that, I didn't know that there was a recession. So thinking back, I know that that was the game changer there for the worse. So all right. So after that, yeah, one feel a bit like a failure. But on the one hand, I knew this was not really my fault. I mean, it's not just me. The majority went the same route. But it took me a couple of years because, you know, if you fell hard enough, it's not easy to stand up. And it took me 10 years to be frank, 10 years. And yeah, one day I sat and I realized it's exactly 10 years now. And I'm not going to go into detail, but I thought, you know what, it's time. And not that I haven't tried in that 10 years, I just couldn't. I tried, but it didn't happen. And then, yeah, I accidentally started in this industry. Um, and now, if I say accidentally, I thought, you know what, I just need a little bit of money just to put food on the table, type of thing. And I started looking at very small systems where you can make like 1,000 rand or 2,000 rand, and understood the systems. And I thought, well, if I can just now and then make that, I can at least buy food, you know, that type of thing. And I put a few adverts out, and I never sold one of those systems. I immediately got two people that were interested in much bigger systems. And yeah, then I started growing. And I'm always a person, if I have any interest in any subject, I do so much research. When I bought my last cell phone, I took 3 days, about 14 hours a day, researching, not just researching, putting that cell phone against three or four others in the same price range, looking at which one is the best. And I look at the different features and things like that. My wife said to me, you know what, you spend so much time researching this phone. I said, well, I have to make a choice. And this phone, there was phones that was more expensive, but this one had a better camera and certain things that's better. Some of the more expensive ones had better gaming abilities, 8K and things like that. But I'm not a gamer, so that didn't count points for me. So I do a lot of research. Whatever I put my mind, if I decide I'm going to buy a new car, I do a lot of research. If I decide on a new hobby or anything that I get my interest in, if I decide to buy a TV, I start doing research and looking at what's on the market. I've got expensive taste. I like the best. I'm very competitive. So I like to be the best and to have the best. So even if I can't afford it, I'd rather have nothing if I can't have the best. That's my mentality. So yeah, so that was basically where everything started. And then obviously, because I like to know more and to learn, uh, you know, I started really going into how inverters work and certain things, and you know, I really liked it. You know, and yeah, so ever since, it just one thing after the other. And yeah, we are in a very good industry. But I must, you know, obviously with the electricity problems in South Africa, it's a good industry. But I can tell you, and I'm sure Shanei will also know, not everyone is making it, even in this industry. And it's always the same. In real estate, not everyone made it. While I made a huge success, there was other people that didn't make it. I started without any money. I knew a lady, she and a partner uh, started with 80,000 rand that he inherited from his mother. They had property, offices, whatever. They started with all those things that they had. They started off with 26 estate agents. I started without money with 8. 9 months later, they weren't around anymore, and we just keep on growing and growing. So yeah, so same with solar. There's companies that I know when I started that I looked up to, big companies. They're no longer around. And every now and then I thought, I haven't seen this or that company for a while, and then they're no longer around. So it's not everyone making it. The market is getting much harder because every Tom, Dick, and Harry jumps in. If you don't have a job, people think that's a good idea. Let's jump into solar. So that makes it very difficult for the guys that try to do it right. And also with the pricing. I mean, the guys come in with cheap pricing because a lot of things they will put stuff up that's not really the right stuff, or certain stuff they won't even put in at all. So they cut a lot of corners, which the public don't know about. They look at the price and they see this guy is cheaper. So at least we got to a point where we've got such a lot of credibility that when I start sharing some of our achievements and who we are with people, then price doesn't matter anymore from there. But if they don't know, they think price is the alpha and omega. So I don't know if I've answered your question, Shanei. I answered in four sentences.
You did a little bit. I have a follow-up question though. What words of advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who has had a mishap or something happened to their business or something happened to them where they had to start all over again? What words of advice would you give them?
Look, it's not how many times you fall; it's how many times you stand up.
Mhm.
If you just every time stand up one more time, in the end, you can't keep a good man down. The biggest tree, if you every day hit it 5 times with an axe, it'll fall down.
Mm.
So, and I got to a stage sometimes where I got cross for my situation. I got cross and I said, that's it. I've had enough. And it's a good thing to get cross at your circumstances. What I can say is sometimes you get so accustomed. If things aren't going well for a while, a lot of people start getting accustomed to it. They get so used to it that they don't even try anymore, that they don't want anything else. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I just felt uncomfortable until I felt comfortable again. So, yeah, believe in yourself. Definitely, that is the key. And, always grow your mind. I told you how many books I've got. I've got about 700 motivational CDs, especially in the older days when we had CD players in our cars. I never listened to music in my car. The time you drive is wasted time. There's nothing you can do. You just have to put your hands on the steering wheel and the gear lever, and then for an hour or two sit and do nothing. Now my mind's always wandering and thinking business and things like that. But I like to then listen at motivational CDs and stuff that stretches my mind and give me ideas and remind me on goal setting and things like that. It's a lifestyle for me. I like business. I if I go on vacation, I take books worth and do things like that. So it's I enjoy it so much. If they say if you enjoy what you're doing, you won't work a day in your life. And
That's
I really
correct.
enjoy what I'm doing. I'm sitting at night working. I'm getting up early in the morning working, not because I have to. Yes, these days I have to too. During daytime I work in my business and after hours I work on it. But I just enjoy it so much. I enjoy when things get together and when I start seeing the progress. And you know what? There's a big difference between ordinary and extraordinary. If you look
Mm.
at racing horses, um, the winning horse will get, let's say, 3 million rand. And the horse that's second will get 200,000 rand, which is much less. But if you actually look at the footage, there will be a nose uh, length difference. Let's say 10 or 15 centimeters difference between the noses of the one that got second and the one that was first. But there's millions of rands difference between the two. That's the second one is ordinary. The first one is extraordinary. Now, what I'm saying is, if the guy on the second horse knew beforehand that he was gonna lose by 10 centimeters a nose length, and he knew what it's millions of rands difference in prize money. Could he have done something? Could he maybe went lost another couple of kilograms or pounds on diet? Could he hit his horse harder or whatever they do to win? Um, if he knew it, I'm sure he could. Over 400 meters, you just have to make up 10 centimeters. But he didn't know, and that's why it didn't happen. A lot of times, it's that extra. If you have to be extraordinary. I like to do things differently because if I do what all the rest of the people do, I will always have what all of them has,
Mm.
and that's not me. I like, as I'm saying, personally, that's my personality. Um, I just like to be the best. I like to have the, I don't like it if I stop at a robot and someone else is next to me and we start going and that guy gives me a hiding. I lay awake at night. That I can't handle to lose. It's not nice. So that's why whatever I do, I'll keep on going till I have the best, and I am the best in that industry. So yeah, decide to get good at it. Whatever you're doing, decide I'm going to be the best in this industry, and then go for it. To me, it's a subconscious thing. I don't even have to think about it whenever I do something, and I can maybe just mention something. My son just turned 18 2 3 years ago in the high school that he is in. They are all over very well known that they are very good with rugby. If other schools know that they're playing against in rugby, 14 of those 15 guys will all get ill beforehand and things like that because they just get good. And their school principals say, we are the best because we want to be the best. And
Yeah.
one of their secrets was they got Springboks in, paid them a lot of money to coach their pupils to play rugby, and obviously they became better because they got the best guys in. Remember one thing: the everyone that's good at something had a coach. Um, Gary Player, Ernie Els, all these guys, they're good at golf. They had coaches. The guy that don't have a coach, let's say Pieter van der Merwe, that he doesn't have a coach. Do you know who Pieter van der Merwe is? No, no one knows who he is because he don't have a coach. In boxing, in any sport, the team or the person that goes for coaching and really goes out, they're the people that make it and eventually make money in that sport or whatever. The guy that just paddle along, no one, he goes for a little while and then he just vanishes. So, and it's the same thing in business. And this is why I listen to business people. I read business books because in the end, I need to get my mind on the same frequency than big thinkers.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. And then the other thing is, as I said, and I don't want to sound like I think a lot about myself. I know we are doing well. That's a fact. I am good because I want to be good. It's a decision I made, and the same time I'm putting in to be mediocre, I can put in to be extraordinary. So I use my time to the fullest and to the best, and so yeah. So a lot of times, what I can also add. Um, there's not a lot of people that came to me and asked me, how do you do this? A lot of times I see, these people, maybe a family member that wants to start a business, and I can give them, maybe a few pointers. They're much younger than me, things like that. But sometimes, only the guy that asks will take it, not the guy that you give it to for free.
Yeah.
So, and not a lot of people has asked me these things, and this is what I found. I'm one of the people, if I meet someone that's very successful, I would like to talk to him, hear what's the secret to your success. I told you we were the number one on the East Rand. I met the number one guy on the West Rand. So I walked to him and I greeted him and we started chatting. And I said to him, "What's the secret to your success?" This guy has his own helicopters, his own game farms, and things like that. And he only had 3 estate agencies, but everyone knew he was the man. And he shared a few things with me, and I said to him, "Wow, this is interesting. It makes 100%. It made 100% sense to me when he told me." And he was frank. He told me really what made him so good. In real estate, he that controls the stock controls the market. He had a lot of stock. That was why he controlled the market in the West Rand. We had a lot of stock on the East Rand, and I knew what my secret to success was, which was different to his, but it boiled down to the same thing. That was my method of getting stock. Now, at one stage, I mentioned RNS, MLS. At one stage, MLS on the East Rand just started again here, and there was 58 estate agencies that joined. And we had 80 to 90% of the stock at any given time was that of my agency. And then the other 57 agencies shared between 10 and 20% of the stock.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you think about it, it's like, what? You know what I'm saying? But, because we controlled the stock, we controlled the market. That was why we were number one. A lot of estate agencies just joined because of all the stock we had. They didn't have houses to sell. So, I'm very good at marketing, even if I have to say so myself, because I realized that you are as good as your marketing goes. If one just think of McDonald's, we've got Roadhouse not far from us, and before that, it was this guy's father's shop. They are selling the biggest hamburgers for less than a small little McDonald burger. And but no one knows about them. Hardly anyone knows, just the people in the vicinity. Now, McDonald's is making much more money, although their burgers, anyone can make a better burger. But it's not about that. It's not about the product. You can have a product that's maybe not that good, but if your marketing is good, you'll make money. So things has changed a bit over the years. As I'm saying, I've always been good at marketing. I at one stage had a printing business, and what I did there, I did cheap stuff. I specialized in flyers or pamphlets where people advertise on. And what I did there is I gave the guys a special price if they allow me to advertise at the back of their flyer. So I'll put 10,000 flyers out. I get 8 people that come and each print 10 or 5,000 flyers. I'll put my advert on the back. The guy allows me to do it because I give him a good price. He paid for the paper. He paid for everything basically, and he pays for people to put it out on robots. So now those 6 people each, let's say, it got 10,000 flyers at 60,000. They give it out all over, and from that 60,000 flyers that goes out, I'll get 60 clients, which all print 10,000 flyers with my ads on. Then from those guys, I'll get 400 customers, which I can all. So you get the picture. So I got within 8 months, I made more money than what you can believe. I closed down all the printing shops around me because I used this type of marketing for my printing, which didn't cost me money, and it worked for me because everyone that prints, that wants to advertise their plumbing business or their electrical business or whatever they have, my advert will go on the back, and they will pay for it to go out. They'll pay for the paper. They'll pay for the guys to put it out, and they'll watch them that they do put it out. So that was a win-win. So yeah, marketing things has changed over the years, and that is also why how I met with Shanei. I'm still old school, so yeah, we came to a point where I realized that what worked before weren't working anymore, and I started, I tried to fight a little bit. I don't like computers very much because it's not. I don't have a big interest in it, and I tried fighting it for a while, and but I realized, you know what? These days, social media, these things, that's the way to go. And yeah, that's how I actually met Shanei as well. I phoned her up, and so we started, walking a path, and together, she does her thing, I do my thing, and it works well for us. Um, what advice can I give people? Um, know your game, know what you're doing, believe in yourself, have goals, decide to get good at whatever you want to do, and look at your marketing. You're as good as your marketing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me, it makes total sense. And thank you so much for your kind words, Ben. I really appreciate it. CJ, do you have any questions or closing comments for Ben?
Yeah, just real quick, Ben, you've actually wrapped everything together succinctly and in a bow for us, so you didn't even really have to ask you guiding questions. But you talked about how after the real estate, you had to pick yourself back up after 10 years. But I'd like to real quick go back to even your 12-year-old self and just to speak to anyone who's just starting out and maybe feels young or brand new, wet behind the ears, new to business. And you've talked about coaching and you've talked about books, you've talked about having mentors, the importance of having a role model. How important would you say that is? And how would you say to someone today to start out looking for that role model?
I think it's very important because, as I'm saying, uh, I didn't grow up with a rich dad. What you find is, um, people will teach their kids what they've done. If and I'm not belittling any person or any occupation, but let's just say that you come from a working class family. Your dad will say, come and do must get a safe, secure job and things like that, because that's what he's done, and that is why he's still battling every month. But he doesn't realize that he thinks it's a good plan. So, look, decide on, again, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He realized that there was a difference between his rich dad and his poor dad's thinking. And he had to choose at 16 who he was going to follow. His poor dad, which at that stage wasn't poor yet, and his rich dad wasn't rich yet. The poor dad was the head principal of the education department of Hawaii, of the whole island. And he had degrees and everything, and he had a big house, because every time he gets a raise, his bookkeeper will say, buy a bigger house. And they never had money for anything else. Where his poor dad didn't drive at that stage a very nice car, but he had a lot of properties and he was coming up. And he said to him that his rich dad said, go to school, get good grades so you can get a job. And his rich dad said, you know what, my banker never asked me for my report card. He asked me for my financial statements.
Ben, you and I and CJ are going to have another conversation. We need to wrap up the show. It's time for the new.
I
For
probably
another
haven't
episode.
answered this question in full, but we can take it up next time. I would like to answer it because there's quite a few things I can say around it. So
yeah, we
thank you
love
so much.
that. But we'll chat further on Facebook, and I'll invite you to our Facebook group as well. So this show
100%.
can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check it out on spanglishworld.ca. And for all of the news and the programming, Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Thank you so much, Ben. We'll see you on the
Thank you,
Facebook
Ben.
group, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Bye.